The cloud lifts. The weekend crypto crash finally makes sense. I'm not a huge fan of conspiracy theories, and I was thinking, hey, this is like any other weekend crash or any other crash in general, even though, yeah, it's always the biggest crash in this year of cryptocurrency. But for the most part, I was asleep when like the prices went down to zero, and I don't do leverage, I don't do shorts. I especially, and if I were gonna do them, I don't, you know, I don't multiply them, perpetuals or whatever, like three X's and this and that. And for me, that's like Martian. And if there's any risk, I'm not a big gambler. I'm in crypto. I'm an investor. The difference between an investor and a gambler: an investor holds assets for a long period of time after doing his research and understanding the asset should, not 100% will, should go up in value. And in the later date, he'll either do two things: collateralize the asset so he doesn't have to sell it and pay capital gains, or sell the asset, pay the capital gains, and take the profit. A gambler is somebody that basically just plays Russian roulette or a casino, doesn't really know what they're doing, and is kind of just hoping that things work out, but there's not well researched, and there's very little in his or her control. So a lot of people were hurt. A lot of people died. There was an Italian guy that got killed. One thing that I wanted to talk about is that I don't know who in the White House or which family members, by the way, both parties do this, benefited from this, but obviously somebody benefited from this. You don't, when things are going up and people are placing longs like that, you don't go against the market 20 minutes, 30 minutes before an announcement like the one that President Trump did. And then after he made the announcement, closed it short, hundreds of millions of dollars, something like that, close it short, perfect timing, precise, and make the money and burn everybody. I'm not saying it is a family member of the Trump family. I voted for Trump twice. All I'm saying is that if they have a privy to information, anybody in Congress, they do this too in Congress, but not to this level. It's crazy. It's a much more newer market. Obviously, there's a lot more upside, a lot more downside, but they shouldn't be allowed to do this. And whoever did this, whether it was a member of the family, I'm gonna call out, hey, YouTube, if you don't like it, it is what it is, even though they're kind of anti-Trump and kind of anti-Republican. Anyway, so there shouldn't be no issue for them. And Barron Trump's an adult. If it was Barron Trump or, Melania Trump or anybody else, who else was it? Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. that did this, there should be an investigation into this, a comprehensive investigation, right? Because hey, Lucas, how you doing? So they should be able to find out, right? If I don't pay my taxes or I pledge my taxes for cryptocurrency, the IRS can trace it back to me, even though if it's DeFi, right? Say I use different DeFi protocols to cash out, they'll know, they can trace it back to me. When we saw it in the blockchain, we saw the numbers because exchanges have to protect their customers. So when you see whales moving around funds, they don't tell you who it is. But generally speaking, everybody that's entered the crypto market after like 2015, the IRS is on your ass. They know who you are. They can trace accounts to you. Like if you send money from, let's just say, Coinbase in the US or Robinhood in the US to Phantom, then send that money from Phantom to a cold storage wallet, use that money from a hot wallet to pay for something, they can trace it back to you. You do long leverages on decentralized DeFi exchanges, they can trace it back to you. So whoever did it, it is possible, if they really wanted to, which they're not going to, because again, all members of Congress do this to a certain extent, they could trace who made this money and who basically fucked over all the people that were doing long and short. I personally say, all the networks I've been part of, we do not, under any circumstance, we do not leverage trade. No shorting, no longing. We're investors, we're not gamblers. However, the people are gonna keep doing it, people are gonna get burned. And who knows, if you do in the future decide to leverage trade a little bit, right? Like, go, that's 1% of your portfolio. If you lose it, fuck it, right? It is what it is. If it's house money, great. If you don't need to pay the rent, obviously that's amazing. But at the end of the day, the fog of war is lifting, and we're finally starting to see that something doesn't smell right. And it's going to happen again and again and again. Passing the Clarity Act is one way of mitigating these kind of situations. By the way, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share what I'm saying, because it's very important. Passing the Clarity Act is one way of mitigating this kind of a situation. However, the best way to fix what's happening is for there to be some kind of accountability, because there's a possibility that it was done on Binance and it wasn't a member of the Trump family. There was, I don't know, maybe they have spyware somewhere in the White House and the Lazarus group did it. I have no clue. But if we have, maybe they should write into the Clarity Act or a piece of legislation saying, listen, everybody should be under the U.S. jurisdiction, and anybody that does a certain long or certain short of a certain amount of money has to be automatically a part of the IRS, so they know who it is, and we can avoid situations like these, because people are going to think twice before doing something like this. Whoever it was, if you can trace it back to them immediately, they're going to think twice before shorting the market like the way they did. Hey, June the 3rd. I am not Amish. I am Dominican American from New York City. I just like wearing cowboy hats. But as I was saying before, I got to go to another YouTube live, but I just wanted to tell you guys, listen, the fog of war is lifted. This was orchestrated. It was planned. Somebody made out with like a bandit with tons of money, Joe Kennedy style. That's how Joe Kennedy got his start. President John F. Kennedy's father was shorting the market right before based on inside information, right before the Great Depression started. That is my cue to go. There might be some rain coming in, and again, I gotta go to YouTube Live.